Hold on, stand by.
What?
I've got a disconnection. Let me make sure we're alive.
I think,
Are we
I think
back
we're
up?
back.
Okay.
We're back.
I got OBS
Hey,
disconnect.
we're back.
It was just when I said hold on. So
You're good. Anyway,
Hashtag production.
8.25 out of 10 Forza Motorsport.
no. Yeah, it's.
I love that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Corey took his victory lane to review a game that came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
Well, two notes. Ron, getting back on the other day was really fun, and then bringing in like the next gen cars to like allow us to kind of have like it was fun having not played it to be able to hop in and gain the car I wanted by the end of the night with the 300,000 in-game credits, right? Just by racing with the boys. So that was cool. Like I don't feel like limited to what I can get. So that's fun. I always love when games allow you to just kind of you don't have to grind a bunch to be competitive within small circles. Obviously, if I went online, I'd probably get smoked having to race certain cars or whatever the case, but that was a good time grinding out with you guys. I want to make one note. So Dale Jr. was on Bussin' with the Boys. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that podcast. That's Will Compton and Taylor Lewan. And Dale Jr., there was a good portion of that podcast where Dale was talking about college football 25. And as you guys know, big college football 25 guy. And then we were all in a league for, what, 2 seasons?
A season or two.
So, yeah. And you were in my league and stuff like that. So you guys know I care about, like, franchise games and stuff like that. And you guys are big into that as well. But listening to Dale Jr. talk about, man had an iPad with all of his plays, all of his rosters lined up by junior, senior, like color-coded by like year, his recruits. He does the online dynasty. He knew all of these little things like about the game, like what, like if there's a specific archetype of player that kind of glitches. He is so into it. And I got so hyped because I know he's got his hands all over the NASCAR 25 career mode game or career mode that they're focusing on. And so it's literally like the most one of us scenarios. Like I knew Dale was an iRacer, okay, and I knew he was in the Hell Let Loose. But to listen to him talk about this, he gets it. And
he's a gamer,
so
dude.
hype.
Yeah.
I am so hype about the NASCAR 25 again. And of course, yeah, the iRacing is always fun and Forza was fun. So yeah, I think that was a good choice to give Forza their love on that. I just wanted to add that. So
included with Game Pass, by the way. If you have Game Pass, go run Forza.
And having it on PC. So, I will say you hit us up the next day, and you were like Forza again. I was like, Forza's really good for what Forza is. iRacing's on a different level at times, so I'm like,
sure.
I need my one night of Forza. One night of Forza, I'm in there. 2 nights of Forza, I'm not in there. But Jeff mentioned last time we should do some online races, and I might end the podcast with a clip of Jeff wrecking both of us at Daytona Road Course.
I had to go fast
to win the race.
I'm sorry.
He gets an unreal performance by the 11 cars this weekend, both virtually and in real life. So your boy,
I had to do it justice.
Your boy wins Martinsville. What's your thoughts on the race, man?
I have thoughts, and so here I have happy thoughts. Like for one, I don't like. That was a clinic. He did that clinically. And the performance that Denny had on Sunday is exactly why, like I've said on the pod in the past that, what a tongue twister. I've said in the past, like out of all of us, I'm probably harder on Denny Hamlin than just about anybody that's here when it comes to rankings, when it comes to generally like talking about performance, like reviewing and everything else. Because I know he can do that. That is what I expect him to be able to do because I know he can. And the thing about the way that race was, once he was gonna get the lead, you knew he was gonna get the lead. And once he got it, he wasn't letting it go for anything. He had people that were going to try and get out to the front, get to him. We thought lap traffic might have slowed him down. But one of the other factors that made his performance clinical, and the reason why I say that, was the way he was able to navigate not only lap traffic and use that to his advantage, but also his ability to run on used up tires twice through the second stage and towards the end of that race It showed a veteran savvy, and it showed an ability to work that car that only somebody that is of that certain skill level is going to be able to do that on those tires and pull away as far as he did. By the time that race was over, he was half of a paperclip ahead of anybody that had a chance to even sniff his tailpipe. So, and that's the other thing is like I was happy with that just in general with the fact that he got there, he was close. There was no controversy. It was not, oh, we're down to the last second. Somebody might have had it. It was by a nose. Somebody got pushed up the track. There was a wreck. It was clear, defined. He won it. And so, yeah, that I don't know. I just have all the positive feelings in the world about that one. Y'all may differ, but that's kind of where I'm in. Denny raced in the way that I expect Denny Hamlin to race.
So I would actually double click on that and say not only was Denny clinical, so was his pit crew. They kept him in the front the whole day.
Yes.
Not one slip up. Like once he got to the front, they didn't. There was probably 5 or 6 pit stops after he took the lead, and he didn't lose a single position on pit road. So props to them too. I mean, it was an ass kicking. There's no other way to put it. It was
So
I've seen Denny wins that were like that, but that was maybe the biggest one like that.
Yeah, on Gluckman's did you enjoy that race? I guess this was the bottom 3 Martinsville race of all time for that poll. And I will say, if none of the other next gen Martinsville races had occurred, I would be fine with this race. A little bit of a boring one. It was one on pit road. Nobody could really pass. Okay, fine. Knowing what I know about the other Martinsville races, aside from the Ross Chastain Hail Melon, can you name a relevant event that occurred at Martinsville in the next gen? Can you name a significant race?
Wasn't Martinsville where Willie B's power steering went out? And he had to gut out the entire race to stay in the playoffs. I'm picking nits, I admit, but
right,
I think that was a thing.
I recall Daniel Suarez at the Roval losing his power steering a couple years ago, trying to stay in the playoffs, but I don't remember Willie B. This admittedly would be a really tough track to not have power steering, but that, and again, I'm not shitting on this race. It was fine. I have my gripes with it. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit last week. The next gen car lowered horsepower for short track packages, and I think that is one. This is one of the we don't have short tracks figured out. It was good performance. We did see some of these guys catch up to Denny and just not be able to pass. In fact, I think there might have been one pass for the lead under green, and that might have been Elliott's pass on Bell early in the race, but I don't remember. And that's what'll bug me. I'm not gonna say that Denny Hamlin wasn't the fastest car. I'm in the middle of a podcast, baby girl. Go talk. Okay, go talk to Mama. Okay.
Kai explosion.
Well, she had a bloody nose, so
oh no,
but she's okay. I thought we would be able to do the podcast live with no Kai interruptions. Now that she's 7, we are not able to avoid the Kai interruptions. But it was quick, and I didn't have to leave.
That was silly.
This is how silly of me. But that's again, if this happened once in a blue moon, a weird Martinsville race, okay, but we're just at the fact that Martinsville's one on Ryan Preece, one of the best short track racers, when he was in the what was he in, the 41 for Stuart Haas, he qualified on the pole, was the fastest car in qualifying, fastest pole and in practice, one of the short track ringers of NASCAR. They had a bad pit stop, never heard from him again. It's just not really a track that you can even get through the field. Either you're restarting in the top 5 or pit cycles put you back up front. Yes, you have to hold it, but there's just not this sense of even the outside lane. I don't think we saw a single person hold the outside lane and actually get to go. In fact, Briscoe kept choosing the outside lane. And I was like, brother, you are dropping 3 spots to gain them back every restart. I don't even understand. As far as I'm concerned, at Martinsville, everybody should choose the inside lane. It should be a single file restart at Martinsville. Because what happens is you get on the outside lane, you lose 3 spots. And then if you're on the inside lane, you can't get any roll because some dipshit's just sliding back. It's just a train of dipshits losing 3 spots in the outside lane. So you can never rotate off the corner, and then Denny sets sails, and nobody can ever catch him because by the time you guys clear lap traffic and you're through, Denny's, in rhythm and gone. And it's just like, it's just like, Christ almighty. What? There's no outside lane at Martinsville anymore. Stop it. Stop it. In fact, the last time there was, Alex Bowman spun Hamlin because Hamlin was so damn good on the outside lane that he couldn't clear him. And guess what gen that was in? Old gen. So that's my gripe about it. Denny had a good race, a deserved win finally for, what is it? No, this is Toyota's first win. It's non-Chris Bell Toyota's first win.
Yeah.
Bubba had
better
a good week.
or worse than Phoenix, man? Martinsville right now. Better or worse than Phoenix?
Oh, I think it's worse. Okay.
I'll say this too, like track shape is one thing to that, at least just in the short track realm of things, because I never really get too amped up for New Hampshire usually either, and I always call it Martinsville. New Hampshire is just
slightly bigger,
jumbo Martinsville.
Right.
It's I refuse to call Martinsville New Hampshire Junior because Martinsville's the oldest, but at the same time,
Gateway boring, Phoenix boring. Like if it's a flat track, like there's just nothing. The car's got nothing. There's no drive off, and they were trying to hype up the no lift shift stuff and the whole it doesn't matter, dude. Like again,
that is cool, bro. That is cool.
Well, it just holds your shift, your gear. Yeah,
it is cool.
It's just cool to know about the cars. But yeah, that was my thought going into this. Like, what significant event has happened in Martinsville outside of the Hail Melon, which was now an illegal pass, right? Great video game stuff. Nothing. Was there? When was the last time there's a pass for the lead at Martinsville that you remember? Under green.
Don't know.
When was the last time there was a battle where they were duking it? It was literally Alex Bowman and Denny Hamlin, because that was the last time the cars had an outside lane, right? So Martinsville is like a snoozer for me. It's one of the things that's and it's going to get 2 dates, and it's going to be late in the playoffs, and I hate it, but I want them to fix it.
But Finn, hot dogs.
Hot dogs are good, and it's 2 hours for me. But can they be like whiskey infused so I can get drunk enough to deal with no passing for 2 hours?
They can be. You know what? Try hard enough.
Honestly, at this point, I'm pro Sammy Smith. At least he did something to make the weekend interesting.
Well, that's kind of the other piece of the puzzle is you can pass, just not respectfully.
Right.
Like
you have to and you have to hit them harder than the old gen cars and stuff like that. You
gotta chip them. We've seen it.
So.
Chastain was making some moves. They had that incident with Chastain dropping down in front of Briscoe. Briscoe catches the curb, spins out Logano.
Mm-hmm.
I think this type of race is one that lends itself to risk taking in a way that is, generally speaking, frowned upon at most places. The thing about a track like Martinsville is no one's getting hurt, right? No one's getting shipped into the wall and breaking a leg. They're going, a speed at which they're not really in any danger. Right. So the bumping and beating and banging, that can be fun. They just need to do more of it. Right. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they're all being too nice.
I think the call.
I don't think Ty Gibbs would agree with you on that one with his whole ordeal with Tyler Reddick, which I thought was, I don't know. There was just something about that at the end where you could tell that, there was already frustration, that was happening from Gibbs considering the season that he's having. And then to kind of watch him go and step to Reddick the way that he did, I'm kind of like, well, you're wrecked and you're mad and you're having a bad season. So yeah, I can see that. I'm glad nobody got.
He's having 2 bad seasons.
Dude, Ty Gibbs got so mad he called Tyler Reddick little when he's only 5'7". Like Ty Gibbs is 5'7", and he's calling Tyler Reddick little. Get out. But also,
a couple of little dudes.
I'm not going to say anything nice right now, so I'm just going to say nothing.
Just a little guy.
He's obviously dealing with his frustration. It looks like they worked it out. I saw the post race of them talking, and it just looked like it was one of those yeah, dude, I was pissed in the moment, and you're allowed to be pissed in the moment. Like
Tyler Reddick made Ty Gibbs curse. Oh my goodness.
He gets us.
I have what may be a stupid question.
What's up?
How long is Ty Gibbs' leash? the longest in NASCAR?
If he was
So
anybody else, if he was anybody else, this would probably be, I don't know. So, like, here's the deal. As a rookie, we were all sitting there going, he's going to win a race soon.
Yeah.
He's 22 years old. Remember how I told you when you first got in the sport, and I was like, William Byron's probably on the hot seat for Hendrick. And now look at him, the consensus top 3 driver, right?
Yeah.
And he was driving the 24. You know what I mean? He was driving the Hendrick 24. So in my mind, if he wasn't the grandson of Joe Gibbs, I think with this performance, I think he still gets a leash. But I think as the grandson, Joe's going to make it work. Like I don't think there's going to be a leash. Like he'll throw him out there and just race him.
But it's been bad,
especially since you either have to replace him or you get rid of the car, and then you can never have 4 cars again because of the agreement. Right?
They'll never do that. They'll simply never do that.
So they'll keep the car. He'll fund it. You know what I mean? Like they'll find ways to get the funding, even if it's an R&D car. Like he like the only way I think he loses the seat on performance is the unfortunate passing of Joe Gibbs, and somebody else takes over, and it's kind of like, okay, well, it's out of the Gibbs family now, so Tyler, you know what I mean? Like, not. I don't want to get into that discussion, but that's where I think that we see. I don't. And he again, he was so close. You know, it's only a handful. You know, they were talking about what he is now tied or broken J.J. Yaley's streak of races run under or races in the Cup Series without a win at like 79. Again, just to be clear, other drivers that did not have a win by their 79th race: Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. You know what I mean? Like these are guys that did not have a win by their 79th Cup race. And keep in mind, part of that 79 is him having to fill in at the 23XI 45 or 23 eventually, right? When Kurt Busch got hurt. So it was like, hey, by the way, just go start racing a Cup now. You know? Yeah. So I don't know. I think
it's longer than it might seem. Simply because, like, you know, there is an argument to be made just considering his grandfather, but the other factor is, like, to Finn's point, is that to me, the hype is one of the things that also seems to heat that seat up. It's not just the fact that it's the fact that we saw him come in, we saw what he did in Xfinity, we saw what he could do, and we expected more by now. Mm-hmm. But if you were to look at it compared to other drivers, it's also not completely uncommon for him to be in the position that he is right now. That's where that large jump from Xfinity to Cup is. Because it's really like it seems like it's so close, right? It almost seems like it's a few steps from plug and play, but it's really not. There is a significant difference.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, it's not like he's finishing 4th. Right. He's like finishing 24th.
Yeah.
Like I have yet to see any speed really out of that car. Anything other than the clash.
Right. I mean, he did have a 13th this past weekend, so there's like, okay, hey, you brought the car home in one piece. You had a consistent week. And I just think that's what he needs. Just consistency, right? These Gibbs guys, they've got to figure it out, right? Because the Toyotas are starting to heat up, right? Denny just won. Bubba had another top 3 finish. So, you know, we just did power rankings, and I told y'all, Bubba keeps finished top 3. He's going to jump a lot of those guys, and he's starting to do that. Reddick always sucks at Martinsville. He'll be back this week at Darlington. But Briscoe and Gibbs were like the guys holding those, like, you know, I wouldn't say the Toyota's back, because obviously there's another Toyota team. We'll get to talking about them in a second, because some news dropped on Legacy Motor Club. But yeah, they're coming along. So Toyota's strong. I think Gibbs is going to keep that momentum, and I think it'll be fine. I don't think Gibbs necessarily has a win this year, but he's closer to a win than Austin Dillon is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like he's just like one good setup, one good weekend, and then he's back in it, right? And he's talented at quite a few tracks. So,
I mean, since he's come into Cup, that's the other thing to consider is, like, so I'm looking at his average finishes per track, just because now this had me curious. And the highest average finish he has is at Chicago Street, which
Right,
there's
twice.
been 2, right? And then below that it's Michigan, and then everything else is double digits. Like,
Right.
so, yeah, it hasn't been great, but it also, like, the hype compared to like position ratio is a big part of this.
Yep. So speaking of 23XI, they apparently filed a lawsuit with Rick Ware Racing, who is apparently reneging on a deal to sell a charter. They apparently signed a deal, and now they don't want to give it away, and Legacy Motor Club is, I guess, taking them to court. So
wait, back up. 23XI is taking them to court?
Jimmy Johnson, sorry, Legacy Motor Club.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. Legacy Motor Club. I said 23XI, but I meant Legacy. So credit to Jimmy being the majority owner. He doesn't accept being halfway in something, even if the team probably isn't ready for a third car. But Toyota's might be getting this third car. So my question to you is, who might end up in that car? They do have Kaz Grala as a backup driver, but Kaz is more of like a specialist. I think he's good at road courses, and I think he's good at good at super speedway racing is relative, right? But he's got some top 10 finishes in Cup, I believe, in super speedway cars. But is this a potential Corey Heim part-time seat in Cup, or do they? If you're Legacy Motor Club, do you go get a vet to pair with Eric Jones and John Hunter?
This may sound biased, but I'm probably calling Corey LaJoie first. Like, just because I like the podcast, I get that it sounds biased, but I think a veteran is the move there, because you got John Hunter Nemechek, you got your young buck already. Eric Jones is the dictionary definition of a wild card. You have no idea what you're getting from that guy week in and week out. Go get somebody at the very least who has been there and done that.
You know what? He said that. I'm taking Eric Jones this week.
Dude.
We're locking it in.
That guy is... It was this week too. He was he's going around Martinsville. I'm like, he's causing problems. They're going 80 miles an hour. What's he doing?
Yeah, Eric Jones is going to be my pick this week. Since you're looking at lap average or track averages, Jeff, go look up his at Darlington. It's kind of disgusting. But
yeah, no, I believe it.
But no, he's nasty, Darlington. It's a kind of a sleeper pick anyways, but I think if you're going to get a veteran, it's got to be older. Like I don't consider Corey LaJoie a NASCAR like a veteran driver to put in a seat, right? I don't know if Corey LaJoie has anything he can teach Eric Jones and or John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, I don't really. To me, I'm not feeling that with an older driver. I want to get a younger driver some more exposure, or I want to get someone that's been spending more time down low. Like you mentioned, Corey Heim. I don't know if Corey Heim
I think Corey Heim would away, especially with everything that's going on at 35, dude.
No, I understand that. Like, don't get me wrong. Would love to see Heim time. I'm all for it, but considering where he's at, you could also look. You could tap Ryan Truex. You could tap Taylor Gray. You could tap some other like drivers at the Xfinity level that you could potentially plug into that spot to get a few more starts in Cup and give them a shot to kind of expose what's going on. I mean, to me, I don't know. I think Taylor Gray would be interesting to see make a bump because I think he is going to be on his way up the pipeline. So
Eric Almirola's in a Toyota now.
Almirola's not a bad. Like that is a guy I would consider a veteran, right? You put him in the seat. Now, granted, he seems to be more locked in on the Gibbs side, especially with Xfinity, and he's full time. So I don't know if there's rules for full time Xfinity guys coming up or if he's going to stay there. I think that's a better fit for him is the 19 in Xfinity. But there's definitely slim pickings on the amount of vets that will probably want to go to that team. I think we're going to see Trackhouse just set sail to Honda if they end up joining the sport. I don't know if that leads the way for them. I think maybe they feel locked in Toyota, so they have to do those things. It's just interesting. I don't think Jimmy comes back full time. I don't think that's what's in the cards if that happens. I think he's a little too old, but it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. But I like it. I like them saying we're committed. 3 cars. committed to the grind. If we see them make the jump that Spire's starting to make, that would be great for the sport because there's a lot more guys that are filling out the field more consistently. Yeah. There's a pretty deep field now of guys that can win every week. Again, Eric Jones isn't the guy I'm going to say who can win every week, but like at Darlington, it's like, oh shit, here comes Eric Jones. So now it's just another car in the mix that can win.
Yeah.
So
he's somebody to watch out for.
Totally.
There are certain tracks, and Darlington is definitely one of them for him. For sure.
I want to throw out some hate on my 48 crew chief, Blake Harris. Dipshit decision of the week.
I knew this was coming. I knew this segment was happening.
There are tracks where track position is more important than tires. Track position is more important than anything. And this weekend, absolutely, right? And you see it all the time in NASCAR where you're sitting there 19th to 25th. You're having a shit day. Maybe the car's quickish, but you just, you can't pass or things are going to shit or whatever, right? So you say, hey, we're doing green flag stops. I'm going to stay out late, drive around, take 10 extra laps. Worst case scenario, nothing happens. I pit and I lose my, 10 spots. I was going to lose them anyways eventually at some point in the middle of the field. I gain them back. Or we get a lucky caution, trap half to field a lap down, get to pit and get tires and be fifth and completely change our day. An example of that we talked about last week. Josh Berry driving the 9 at Richmond, the Richmond race we went to. Kyle Busch finishing second at a COTA race. It happens. Things happen. But very rarely do you see a team that's currently third make a track position call. So the first caution happens. A shit ton of the field takes 2, and the 9, the 20, and the 48 come out just at the top, like just in the top 10-ish, right? With 4 tires, okay? And as soon as the restart happens, they're going, the 20 gets punted by somebody. I don't know if you guys remember, but the 20 got punted.
Yeah.
And then the 9 was trapped on the outside lane. 48 got by him. So for all intents and purposes, the 48 is the leader of the new tire demons and the leader of the true leaders of the race, right? And he's going, and then we get a caution. I don't know, probably Eric Jones or something wrecked, right? I don't know what occurred. And it was a little bit of time, and they decided not to pit the 48 and Logano, who hadn't pit at any point. He was already, they didn't pit, they got in up front, and they decided not to pit. All right, so they decided to stay out. It was 8 laps. That's what it was. It was 8 laps before the stage, right? So everybody came down and got tires, except for the 48, the 22, and maybe, a couple of them, right? So the 48's still on those 4 fresh tires he got from the early caution. They go through. Logano wins the stage because you can't pass a guy that took no tires on 40 lap better tires because it's Martinsville. Okay, you finish second. That's great. Logano pits for tires because they're a smart, intelligent, championship-winning team. 48 decided to stay the fuck out. While everybody has 50, 60 lap fresher tires, it felt like. I don't know exactly the numbers. For what, dude? It's not like there's a guaranteed stage. It's the beginning of the stage. You're just going to fade. And you're thinking, well, if we were 20th and then we took a strategy call to put us at first and then we fall back to 5th, look at that. We gained 15 spots. No, dipshit. You were 3rd and then you passed the other 2 guys. Oh, shit. And then guess what happened? You got stuck in the back of the field. You had a weird-ass caution. I don't even remember what happened because I fucking fell asleep watching Martinsville no passing. And next thing you know, I wake up and he's 32nd. I'm like, all right, great.
What's worse, that or not bringing enough car batteries to the car race?
That one was interesting. That entire storyline where it just felt like every 65, 70 laps, somebody was like, and he's back in the pits replacing another car battery. And you're like,
no, they rolled to the garage because they ran out of batteries.
It's like
they DNF'd.
It's like
because they didn't have a battery to put in the car.
It's like when you had the little Walmart Jeep thing car thing as a kid, and you had to, or ATV, and you had to charge the battery in your garage. Runs out, and you're just like, oh,
Power wheels.
Yeah.
Another DNF for Penske. Definitely Austin Cindric's fault. He DNF'd when they didn't have a battery to put in his car.
You know who stepped away?
They replaced it multiple times. That's the thing.
So interesting enough, they say, I've heard that in the organization, Tim Cindric is like the attention to detail guy.
Yes.
No skips, no weaknesses, like focus, do it right or don't, or do it again type guy. And Tim Cindric this year is not involved in the NASCAR program. He's involved in the IndyCar program. So I don't know how they're doing in Indy, but we're seeing multiple engines blowing up. We're seeing car battery issues. What's going on here?
It's not looking good.
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you that shit. It's not looking good.
Right.
I stretched Ryan Blaney into my top 5.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we all saw the potential there. Like, that's not a problem. But also, this has got to be done soon. You know, like, it's got to be.
Yeah.
We got to have a race where the only way we didn't finish this race is because somebody wrecked us, not because a parts failure.
Car isn't running.
In a spec series.
Yeah.
You know, not 1992 where everybody was, you could just put whatever you found in grandma's garage in the car.
Yeah.
But like, these are like half the cars or 3/4 of the car is issued by NASCAR. You know what I'm saying? Like single issue. So what are we doing here, fellas?
Pretty crazy. No batteries? Come on, guys. Like, what are we doing? I'm the biggest Penske defender on this pod, and that's indefensible behavior right there.
Yeah. To your other point, Finn, like, because I remember, like, you were ringing some, like, you mentioned in Tim Cindric had rang some bells. Like, he stepped back from his role at Penske and IndyCar this year. Because, I mean, he had been towards the top for a very long time. Running for president, and he stepped back from the day-to-day type stuff. But, yeah. There's that. But, yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yep.
Pretty bad.
Yep. But we
You're right about the 48 thing, though. That's there's something to doing, you know, zigging when everyone else is zagging, but there's a time and a place, and they did not pick the right one.
I'm shocked where the two guys that he was racing finished. You want to take a stab at that one? Second and third.
Second and third. Yeah.
Or second and fourth, because Bubba finished split. The guys you're racing, just do what the guys are racing doing. I think the 48 is just not used to being up front, and he had been up front the last 2 weeks, and Blake's just like, oh shit, I was game planning for us to be 18th. This was my strategy from us game planning to be 18th, but we're third. Shit, what do? I don't know. What did the other guy do? What did the guy that's won 3 of the 6 races do? Maybe do what he fucking did.
Imagine the 17 other cars aren't there and race as though they're not and see what happens.
Starting a stage on 40-lap older tires than the entire field has got to be a fireable offense, dude. Has got. Because you want to know where that extra set of tires went?
Back on the truck.
About as useful as Austin Cindric's batteries. That's about how good those were. A lap down. It was great. He was so fast that he was able to unlap himself and drive around to a top 10 finish. I think that's what Blake Harris is planning on. Let's talk about Darlington. I'm over this fucking racetrack.
This was for folks' information. This was this moment was the most active Finn was in our group chat at the time while the race was going on.
So bad.
It was radio silent throughout the most, and that's how I knew. I was like, oh, this is going to be
something bad happening.
Dude,
this is about to be a whole thing when we record.
The last week, I have put on a random year between 2003 and 2014. And random I've been watching Chicagoland. I've been watching Richmond. I just throw the race on and watch it till I fall asleep. And you know what? Almost 60% of the time, I'm falling asleep with the 48 leading the race. So I'm in a really bad spot every Sunday, just watching this team suck. But I'm just, God, it's like being a Mac Jones Patriots era fan.
They don't suck though.
Dude,
that was a bad call. They don't suck.
You cannot be that quick and that good and then watch him pass the 2 dudes that you were like ahead. And I think that might have been the pressure. Is like, if Chris Bell was in front of him, he could just go, hey, just do what Chris Bell did. Or if Elliott was in front of him. But since he was in front of them, it's like you're making the strategy call for all of those guys now.
No, but like you said, it's a no-brainer at the stage break.
Yes, like you chose to stay out and stage break.
They no-brained the no-brainer, dude.
Right.
That's
he
what they
should have
did.
just pit 4.
Yeah.
You know who races for stage wins? Blake, people that have wins.
He does have a point.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah,
I don't know. It's one of those things you mentioned. You were like, oh, this is kind of one of those things where, like, I feel for you, I do.
Yeah.
But you would mention like being a Mac Jones era Patriots fan.
It's what it is.
Like, my sympathy goes about as far as it does for a Mac Jones Patriots fan.
Right.
Like,
it's been fun.
That's where it is. And you expect that, and that's fine. I'm not lobbing shots at you with that being the case. Because also as rooting for a driver who every time we get to either the 8 or the championship 4, like, this is where I'm dealing with some of this stuff too. So, like, and nobody's going to be sitting there feeling bad for me because, my 11 car didn't make the championship 4 or got Hail Meloned out or, didn't win Phoenix. So, yeah.
Right.
But
no, I get it. Don't feel bad for me. I again, if I cared that much about, like, we have to win, I would have just stayed with what the 48 car became, which was the 5, and then I would have no complaints, right? Also, alternate universe moment, because in one of these races, I see the 22 Penske car, and I'm thinking, oh shit, Logano is about to pass, and it said an AJ Allmendinger in the 22, and I double took, like, fun fact, AJ Allmendinger was going to be the driver, and he was the driver for the 22 for 19-ish races, but he failed a drug test for Adderall. As a result, lost the spot. Sam Hornish raced in it a little bit, or some other guys, and then the young prodigy from Joe Gibbs made his way over to Penske, and then, of course, 3-time champion later, Joey Logano. And also, I don't know if you know, Corey, he was 17 as a Cup driver.
I heard, yeah.
So that's some crazy stuff.
That is now illegal, if I'm not mistaken. I think you have to be 18 to be in the Cup Series now.
I don't even know, but yeah, Logano's crazy. Also, Jimmy Johnson had 12 starts at Charlotte, won 5 of them. So there's another, not 12 total, but 5 of his first 12. That was another thing I learned last night, surprisingly. So enough Jimmy Johnson and old NASCAR stats. Darlington.
I'm excited about Darlington.
Have you seen some of the schemes?
Yeah.
No, you know why I'm excited? Because the last time I went to Darlington, Chase Briscoe walked it off into the playoffs.
Pass of the year, definitely up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped. I mean, let's go. Let's run this back.
Yeah. I'm excited for him. There's going to be
being
lot of
able
players.
to be with you at that time when that happened was pretty great.
I still have the super blurry video of it.
Yeah. Hey man, we have RCS chats now, so it won't be as video. It won't be as blurry if I send it to you. So. But yeah, either way, that was good to be there.
So
what's that?
Could not believe what I was seeing.
No.
Yeah.
No. Shocker. It was better than the other time you and I were together sitting in a living room watching Chase Briscoe battling it out for the lead as Denny found a way to just
Charlotte, yeah.
It was and then Briscoe spun, and then the restart happened, and Austin Dillon wrecked the. Did he wreck the? Who won? Did Denny win that one? The 600? Is that the one?
Denny won that one.
So a couple interesting throwbacks. Noah Gregson's throwing it back to an old Dale Jr. car, like the old black Bud car. So that's gonna be sick. Alex is throwing it back to the old Jimmy scheme. That was the dark blue, the cobalt blue with the racing stripes, and they're taking the big A off of the hood, and they're going with the Ally. That's kind of like, it's got like the shadow of the Ally on it. Driving last week, I could see the Napa on Chase, and then the A of Bowman, and then the big ass P. And I was just going napapapap, like the whole Martinsville race, because I had nothing else to do since they couldn't pass. I was just like napapapap. I just spent like 5 minutes going napapapap. So getting that.
Well, so what's your favorite out of the throwbacks? I know what mine is. What's your favorite?
I mean, you can't go wrong with the Kellogg's
Yeah,
throwback,
I was gonna say the
right?
same thing. Larson's throwback with the Labani 5 Frosted Flakes. My God,
The
that
got
is
they did got cars for Hendrick cars instead of got milk.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
yeah,
Yeah,
look up.
the tiger on the 5 is pretty
yeah.
sweet.
Oh, and
Yeah,
they nailed it. They
Yeah.
absolutely nailed that car.
yeah.
So yeah, I was big
Um,
time fan of that one.
I do like
48 looks cool.
48 looks cool. Byron's looks pretty solid too. They're running the silver car with the flames throwback to Jeff Gordon's final car. So that's actually the one that's in Heat, the NASCAR Heat that when we were running the Heat races, that like kind of silver tone one.
Yeah.
So Hendrick did really good, except for Mr. Bland down there in Georgia. The 9 car
The
looks
Xfinity cars got some
awful.
good ones.
Oh, yeah.
The what am I looking at now? Because I'm scrolling them out. The number 4 for Alpha Prime, Parker Retzlaff in Xfinity.
Yeah, that one's
Rocking
cool.
what looks like the old Kodak scheme
Kodak,
from
yeah.
yeah, that one's good. Like
Yeah.
there's a few that are much better. I feel like there's a few teams that could have done better, but I don't mind Denny's, like the Sport Clips trying to go back to Carl Edwards. That was his whole deal.
Yeah, Carl, and he's gonna be honored with I think he's waving the green flag this weekend. So
Yeah,
man,
it's always nice when we can get like just that little taste of Carl Edwards in NASCAR.
do you remember that like
you know.
Mike Bliss sports clip car from the early 2000s? I think it was like maybe even the 0 or the 00. Like I remember that car used to look really good. So, I need to. You know what I need? I need an Austin Cindric Blue Deuce throwback.
Yes.
We need a throwback to the Blue Deuce.
Yes.
All right,
You've got to.
That's lore that Corey's missing out on here. Is for years.
What, isn't that what they're doing this year?
Are they? I haven't seen a Cindric.
I mean, it's a blue car with a yellow stripe and a white 2 on the side. It's blue.
I'm gonna have to.
No. That's not it. No, the Blue Deuce was gonna be different. Like if for one, like we're talking.
Oh, I see the Miller Lite car.
Yeah, we're talking about the Rusty Wallace style, like 2 blue, like shiny blue Miller Lite car.
There you go. All right, yeah, different. Yes.
Yeah. Hold on.
Different and cool.
This drama in the Legacy Motor Club stuff here. Sources tell Jordan Bianchi. Rick Ware was under the impression the charter transfer to Legacy would be for 2027 after signing the agreement, which had 2026 in it. And then in its suit, Legacy described Rick Ware as strapped for cash and unable to compete at the cup level.
Oh no!
No, Jimmy, dude. I will say this:
firing shots.
When Bowman's done in the 48, and also thank God the Raja Karuf stuff has calmed down on that, because I'm probably just gonna be a full-time Legacy Motor Club fan at this rate. Yeah, Jimmy, go get him.
Welcome.
We're all be Camry guys.
Yeah.
I'll be Camry guy.
Finn's gonna become a Camry guy. Look at that.
Hopefully they've moved over to the Supra. So Darlington is going to be, I wouldn't say fresh. We had 2 mile-and-a-halves. The last couple Darlington races have been solid. Obviously, Darlington is always one of the harder to pass mile-and-a-halves, right? But not when you're Chase Briscoe. And these cars have done a number on mile-and-a-half. So are we going to watch this one live together, boys? Isn't it a Saturday night race? Or is it going?
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely down for that.
We need to get in on this. We need to have some live NASCAR reactions to a race here.
No,
it's Sunday at 3. The night race is in the playoffs.
Arlington Spring Race. Here we go.
Yeah. I know what I remember because I was looking at the tickets and I was like, I do not want to be sitting in the sun at 5 o'clock.
Saturday. No.
Better go to the Southern 500 anyway, man.
It is 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I will probably go to that. Yeah, Sunday, August 31st at 6 p.m. Yeah, I'll roll up to that. Watch the night race under the lights. So
and it's crown jewel style. You're going to the actual Southern 500. That's
I
would, if given the choice, that's the one I'm going to 100% of the time. I love Darlington. fantastic, and it's been good to Denny in the past. I like Darlington, but at the same time, like if I'm picking what race to go to there, I'm going to the Southern 500. So maybe that's just me, but either way. I think we're in for a good race on Sunday. I think this one's going to be fun.
Yep.
Darlington usually provides. What I like about it is we usually get some pretty good pit strategy, especially towards the end at Darlington, because we generally start to see some interesting tire strategy there. We kind of it's going to be one of those times where fuel isn't going to play as much, but it'll be a factor. Right. And with the way things have been running at 1.5 miles thus far with our short sample size, I think we're going to be in for some good stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, one of the big things I was worried about coming into this year, especially for 1.5s, is have we figured it? Has everybody figured out the car so much that it's just leveled out and passing is impossible? But we've seen really, really good races at Vegas. We've seen really, really good races at Homestead, and it's a driver's track, right? And those guys kind of will flock to the front. So, what's after this? What do we got coming up here soon? Bristol,
Darlington, Bristol, Dega. Darlington, Bristol off week for Easter, then Dega on the 27th. So there's no race on the 20th.
All right.
Interesting, because if I remember right, they raced on Easter Sunday last year, didn't they?
They did, but they didn't like it. All the drivers were up in arms about it. So
okay, got it.
Yeah, last year, notwithstanding, we have Darlington on the 6th, Bristol on the 13th, and then the next race is Dega on the 27th. So only 3 races in the month of April. So, Darlington, Bristol, Dega.
Yeah, that gap's going to feel weird.
It is.
Yeah, it's going to be an oddball gap.
Yeah, maybe we can get some weird stuff in there. Maybe some live stream stuff. Oh, yeah, live stream a little Forza race. So, so shall we do our picks, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think it's about that time.
Yeah.
You got Eric Jones, for real?
I'm going to go Eric Jones. I mean, again, I think of the active drivers, he's at least top 3 in average finish at this track. It is considered the Eric Jones track. He's just got something figured out. And they've been fairly decent. I know the last week was fine, but they've qualified decent. And I think if you put the 43 with speed on Saturday, he can produce at this track on Sunday. So I'm going to take a swing in a minute. I mean, I haven't had any victory lanes in a minute anyway, so might as well go for it.
I don't know if I'd call picking Eric Jones going for it, but sure. Cool, buddy. Whatever works for you.
Full send.
Well, he is that.
Full send. Okay. What about you, Corey? Who do you got?
Byron.
He's always quick.
Willie B, eh?
Byron. Yeah, I was going back and forth. I didn't want put it this way. It'd be Briscoe if I didn't pick him last week. But
right.
Byron.
But you picked Briscoe and he won it for you, so you don't need to just keep riding the high.
Yeah.
But and then you pick Byron, then you still win, but Briscoe won the race, so you're
I will take Willie B. Traditionally, I have no idea what his overall performance at Darlington is, but a little bit of due theory. He's been down, hasn't won. Let's see. He won the first race of the year, and then we've had 6 races since then, and he hasn't been that particularly close.
Quick. He's always quick at Darlington.
But I'll take Willie B. Seems like a safe bet.
There's a part of me in my brain that wants to take is thinking Larson tends to run pretty decent at Darlington, and one of the things that's fun with Larson there is that's one of those tracks he just seems to find magic and work his way from back to front. I've seen him do it multiple times at Darlington. He is dangerous there. And I'm thinking about Larson, and then I'm back and forth, and I'm like, the other flyer that I was considering taking. But
come on.
You know what? I'll take a flyer.
Take
this
the
week.
flyer.
Brad K.
Brad K. There you go. I mean, didn't he win the last? Or what? Didn't he win a Darlington?
Brad, yeah, he has.
He won this one race last year.
The last few years,
he won this race last year.
So taking a flyer, just in the general sense, not necessarily in the Darlington sense, but mine is Brad K.
Yeah, well, they need some because He's been by
We're
far the worst.
We're gonna need some sort of a spark from there. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So two real fans, and then a guy that just wants to do victory lane every week. I get it.
Hey, hold on. I am willing to change my pick to someone I just thought about.
Go ahead.
If you guys will permit a pick change.
I want to see if I can guess it. We get to guess it. I will let you commit to the pick change, but I'm gonna guess. Let's see. Who does Corey think? A flyer. And I don't think it's gonna be a Penske driver. You've already picked a Ford. He's not gonna go Todd Gilliland. Dude,
I think he's gonna pick Tyler Reddick.
I think he's gonna take Ross Chastain. What was your pick?
Bubba.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, Bubba just finished third in his last two races.
I know. I didn't say it was a flyer. I said it was a change.
I thought he was taking a flyer pick. All right, you want to go Bubba? You go Bubba.
I mean, hey, I can drop down the ranks. If I was, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. You guys are talking shit, so I'll do it. Give me Austin Cindric.
Oh, that's an interesting pick.
Austin Cindric. How far can we take this, Finn? Like, how much shit can we talk before this man's like, "Yo, give me JJ Yaley for the dump"? All right.
Can we get
like
can we get a Quinn Half in here?
How much can we pressure Corey before he's just like, "Yo, Kaz Gralla is
Jimmy Johnson running this race? What's Jimmy Johnson's race? Shane Van Gisbergen.
Right. Like, it's just gonna like. We could push this to the point where
so it's underdog week. It's throwback week / underdog week. So who's got the biggest underdog? So Keselowski, Cindric, and Jones. 3 guys that just ain't got it right now.
We're all gonna be sitting here like, where in the mid-20s is our guys?
So, dude, you know how hype I was for Victory Lane when Josh Berry was like leading and taking off, and I was like, hell yeah! Mm-hmm. And then they had, I don't know, was pit penalty or something happened? Oh, they had a really slow pit stop, and something happened. And
yeah.
And I was like, well, there goes my Victory Lane. Rip.
Chase. Yeah. Now, I do expect Briscoe to do well. But I don't want to take him too much.
Nah, he's a favorite for this. He's definitely in the favorites to pick, especially with how quick they've kind of come along.
Yeah, it's a track that's heavy on the shifting, and he tends to do well at those. And God bless Chase Briscoe. Go get one.
There you go. That's right.
Right. You're looking to be in the same position I was this week, where it's like, oh, you pick someone, and darn it if you didn't get Victory Lane, but if your driver wins, it feels that much better. Right? Like, this was one of those weeks, like, rolling into the pod this week, I was like, damn, man. Like, because there's a lot of times, like, it's a busy start of the week for me usually. I got, like, a bunch of things, and right before the pod, I'm, like, doing other things right before I'm sitting down. And, like, today, I was kind of floating, man. I was like, oh, man, I can't wait to sit down. Like, I was thinking about doing the same thing I did last year before Denny's big win and, like, throwing on all my 11 stuff before sitting down and then talking about humility. But, you know, I figure
11 against the world, Jeff.
Yeah, 11 against the world.
Listen, Denny is the most, like, growing up, dude, in NASCAR, Denny is the most, like, lukewarm driver. Like, everybody growing up, like, hated Jeff Gordon. And then it was, we hated Rowdy Busch. And then there's Tony. And then, like, those guys, I mean, Rowdy's not done, but it's like, Denny just assumed that he, like Denny just assumed he took over the mantle as the most hated driver in NASCAR. No.
Eric Jones did that.
No. I don't even know who the most hated driver in NASCAR is right now.
It's got to be Bubba, dude.
I think it's
for bad reasons.
Well, we're gonna take away that. Like, who is the most generally hated driver in NASCAR off of?
Please tell me who gets booed harder than Denny at every single track that he.
That's because everyone shut up about it. The 11 versus everybody. Yeah, now we're just gonna boo you because you're old and you don't have a championship. What are we doing, Denny? Listen, you were always generally likable. Like, it was like all growing up. It was like, short tracks, Denny Hamlin's going to win. Pocono, Denny Hamlin's going to win. He's a really solid young talent, and he's pretty fine. And then he just, like, assumes that he's, like, this heel turn, and it's like, nobody cares but you. You literally did an 11 against everybody at your home track. You got out of the car, and everybody's cheering, and you're like, everyone hates me. No!
Richmond would be his home track, first of all. But second
it's Martinsville. Nobody, like, you're in Virginia, dude. Everybody here likes you, and nobody even really hates you.
He was still booed when he got out.
Dude, everybody's booed at every track.
All 13 people that were there, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like, there's like... They're gonna get booed
again,
because the NASCAR's.
You keep saying this, and you don't provide like any other example of somebody.
Just to be clear,
gets booed any more than him.
Just to be clear, all right. Listen, imagine if every NFL team played in the same stadium at the same day, and then they announce.
And imagine
the
I still haven't heard you mention a name.
They announced the Tennessee Titans, and of course, there's like a group of Jacksonville Jaguars, boo, and you're like, damn, those Titans team, they're hated a lot. They're getting booed. No, those guys hate the Titans. Nobody else gives a shit. Denny Hamlin is the Tennessee Titans of NASCAR.
Oh.
No, he's not.
The Rams
and you still have not provided another example.
No,
you're reaching for every analogy and everything that you can before you can try and provide another name.
Because Joey Logano is the most hated driver in NASCAR, or Ross Chastain. But I would say, from a fan perspective,
it took you like 10 minutes.
I was sitting on Joey. I said Joey earlier. Joey Logano is the most hated driver in NASCAR. From a fan experience, like Joey is the most polarizing. Either you love him or hate the fuck out of him.
Sure, and you at least provided that. So finally, and I appreciate that. But like, man, like it took you so long to get there. But I mean, either way, fine. Like I'll give you some of that. But this touches on another point that we've talked about before, and that's been touched on numerous other times. Like people generally in NASCAR, this is the personality question. This is what comes out of that. This is what happens where we run into this situation where people say there's no personality in NASCAR, that someone shows personality in NASCAR, then people boo the personality in NASCAR.
Agree. 10 out of 10 cosign, Jeff. 10 out of 10.
I like personality.
Because everybody loves Chase Elliott, and he is about as milquetoast as a white paper plate. I don't understand the Chase Elliott thing. Denny is 50 times more engaging than Chase Elliott to someone who's never watched the sport before. I don't get it, but you're
for what it's worth.
You are spot on to that. Now, I will say that I hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know if Denny's the most hated, right? But he definitely has a unique personality within the sport, right? Not too many guys are willing to embrace the heel turn bit. And maybe Ross Chastain falls into that category. I think Joey Logano kind of plays the good guy, even though everyone hates him, right? Except for me. But it is what it is. And Peyton, shout out Peyton. You know who you are. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Denny's the most hated, maybe he's not. I just think the 11 against the world bit is kind of dumb because it's an Ohio State thing, and I'm like, eh. But,
well, again, and when we say hated, I'm not talking about the garage, right? Like, I think most drivers' least favorite driver is Ross Chastain. I think he is probably the most on-track hated guy at the moment. But in terms of fans, like, what do NASCAR fans hate the most, right? Don't say Bubba. We get that. But we're not going to get political on the chat.
Daniel Suarez.
You know what's crazy? Nobody has any problems with Shane Van Gisbergen. Of all of our international drivers, Shane Van Gisbergen. Yeah, something about that.
How that works.
Something about that guy.
Strange.
Just something about that Shane Van Gisbergen, dude.
Just very, very interesting how that pans out.
Super liked by Southern Dukes Crats. Okay, so, but I watched the Unrivaled, right, and it Earnhardt versus Gordon, and that's a fun 50-minute watch on YouTube, it's like an ESPN type thing, and one of the big things is you have Dale, this typical country guy, lives Southern roots, real humble beginnings, big family man. And then you got Jeff Gordon, who's like New York, and he's
California.
Well, no. Well, what I'm saying, he's California, went to Indy, but like he's this like goes to. So what they were talking about in the pod, the thing is like he's in New York, and he's with businesses, and he's in ads, and he's like hosting.
Jeff Gordon enunciates.
He's hosting Saturday Night Live. Like, he's big time. He's New York. He's flashy. They said like Earnhardt got everybody paid. Jeff got everybody planes. You know what I mean? Like the money that was coming in. And yes, they did a lot of milking and stuff like that of that rivalry. But one of the reasons Gordon was hated so much is he just like isn't like the NASCAR fan base. He's not one of them in terms of where he grew up, his roots, and those kind of things. And I don't know where Joey Logano's from.
New Jersey.
I wouldn't guess it's from the South, right? You know what I mean?
No, I think he's from Connecticut, actually.
Right.
Yeah, he's from Connecticut.
Some fucking Connecticut nerd,
New England,
right? That again, not hating on him, and then of course the hair thing, everybody's made fun of him for his hair for many years and things like that.
Point,
and
people love Truex. Truex is a Jersey guy.
Truex also was a DEI guy. DEI is in Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
I know.
But DEI guy. So I think he got the pass, and also he bounced around. You know what I mean? I don't think Truex just was kind of a lukewarm guy until he came back with the 78 and won a championship, right? With a small team. So to win a championship in a single car ride, I think that'll change the perspective on you quite a bit. And he's a big Southern guy. He's a big fisher. You know what I mean? Even though he's from up north, he lives Southern.
Outdoorsy.
Right. He has that. He's got a real look about him, if you will.
Yeah.
But
Joey about that Martin Truex.
But best friends with Dale Jr. What are we doing here?
Well, part of this also, you go back to the situation with Denny on that, is that you could definitely say that Denny has moved away from. You're talking about a guy that grew up working in his dad's shop and fixing cars and fixing up his own race cars and stuff like that, to somebody who, in the new, in the NASCAR documentary Netflix series that was supposed to bring in so many other fans, the first thing that they show is his mansion that's the size of a city block with a helipad,
on the lake. Yeah.
So there's factors to that are going to play into reasons why he's also going to get booed, because he's not playing into some of those perceptions. Whereas 10 years ago, even though he would have been making the money, and this also plays into some of the same contrasts that would have existed at the time of Dale. Dale is looked at as he's among this icon through NASCAR fans and particularly Southern fans, but also anybody who knows some of his history as well knows Dale was very protective over his reputation of this, but Dale also loved the finer things in life. You know what I mean? He was happy he got some money because he was a fan of a lot of the kind of stuff that most NASCAR fans weren't ever going to be able to afford either.
Right.
That's documented as well. But there's a branding aspect to this.
Right.
And I think that some of that ties into some of the parts that come with Denny as well.
But Denny, Denny's again, it seems in his brain, he thinks he's the most, again, with the thing, and I'm just kind of memeing at that. It's he has this idea that he's the most hated, but he's genuinely one of the better ambassadors for the sport. He's got probably my favorite NASCAR podcast. It's the only one I will listen to pretty much every episode.
Sure.
He's super open about the car and how it drives, and super gives a lot of information on that pod. And then of course, being an owner, he's a big advocate. So he was on Twitter calling out the Xfinity race and the way that went.
He brought Michael Jordan back into the sport.
Right. Everything Denny has done works a little bit against this idea that he's hated. And that's just because he's putting so many caps for the sport that it's just kind of he's kind of transcended that. And again, me growing up, Denny was never considered this. People.
He was not really a figure.
People just didn't hate him.
Kind of quietly winning races.
It was quiet, winning races. It was just one of those. Okay, when's the 11 going to win a championship, right?
Yes.
When's the 11 going to win? And he didn't get it, and I think that plays into it not having it and being outspoken. It's okay, pipe down, young man. You don't get to the table before again the general as he's entering this can I heel turn? Can NASCAR you're just considered a fringe top 5 driver and.
Enjoying his career too,
right?
He enjoys it,
right?
So do you, man?
People are gonna rub you. You're gonna rub wrong, but I don't hate Denny Hamlin. When Denny Hamlin wins a race, I don't feel that pit in my stomach. Fuck, my whole week's ruined because Denny won. You know what I mean? I see Logano lead the race.
There have been times where you could have fooled me on that, but the other thing is. The other factor with that is all the things that you described about a lot of the things that you like about him and stuff, which I agree that I personally think these are good things that are generally there for the sport. Those aren't always things that the broad, NASCAR fan base are also going to look at as net positive on track.
Yeah,
or
the average NASCAR fan can't define net positive. So
when it comes to that, well, right, but think about that, and that's true across sports in a lot of ways, right? You have levels to how much you're actually going. If you have the person that's watching, they're watching every Sunday, but they're also maybe not taking in all the podcasts. They're not driving into a lot. They just know it's like, that's the dude that wrecked my driver a couple of weeks ago because he pushed him up the track and he got aggressive and I can't stand that shit. Or like, that's the guy who seems to be, his face is everywhere now on anything that has to do with NASCAR. And it drives me fucking crazy and I don't like it. And I'm going to find every little thing about him that I don't like. And if I go to a track, I'm going to boo the shit out of him. Right. And that's going to happen. And that's been happening.
Yeah. I don't think he gets any more. But I mean, I wouldn't say he's like heavily liked, but I think it's just like you have the Denny fans that are like, woo, and then the boos that come from anybody that hates the Gibbs drivers. And then it's just like, okay, cool. Yes. I mean, the most boos you're going to get on any driver walkout is going to be the 23 without a doubt. Now, question. Who's the most liked not named Chase Elliott? On the other side.
Most liked not named Kyle Larson. 100%.
You think Larson's the most liked?
Yeah. There are 5. Like, I mean, in any track I've gone to, I feel like I see more 5 than just about anywhere else. And I walk into just about any cluster of NASCAR fans at any point.
Always a Larson fan.
There's always a few Larsons in there at any group.
Right. But Larson is definitely, because of the Hendrick hate, you're going to get a ton of, like, so I'm thinking like Brad K. Like, Brad gives me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, guy that stepped away, a champion. He's not so recently dominant that people hate him. Like, at this point, I feel like he's probably up there in terms of, like, his name gets called and you're not hearing boos. You're not hearing boos. Blaney's another one, son of a famous. That's another thing.
He won a championship at the right time when the Netflix documentary released.
Sure. Yeah. No, there's a lot of factors that play.
Either way, but Denny, just, you don't have to. You're not the big bad man on campus. You're a great driver. Just go win that ring, and then we can hate you. I tell you what, he's going to become immensely more hateable after he wins a ring. I'll tell you that, because then he won't be able to shut up about it.
Don't worry, me too. I've said before, don't worry. The 11th, if he finally gets a title, y'all can't tell me shit. Nobody's telling me a goddamn thing. I will come onto this podcast and I will peacock all over the place. I will not shut the fuck up about it.
Well, here's the thing.
He finally gets that.
Denny Hamlin's so mediocre, he can't even be the best driver to never have a championship. He's got to be the second best driver to never have a championship. So I'm hopeful. Yeah. I hope he gets one.
Mediocre doesn't really work
for your sake.
Like automatically going to the Hall of Fame, but either way, I mean, it's mediocre wouldn't be the way I describe it either. So,
I mean, is he at 60 wins yet? He's certainly close. I think he ends his career with on the north side.
He said he's not retiring until he gets 60.
So So I think I mean, he's been quick. So let's see if he can get 56 years soon.
Yeah. I think we're going to roll out on that one, though. I think that's about the cap. So please make sure you check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Twitch under the name Intentional Wreck. Like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. Find us on Twitter and TikTok at IntWreckPod. That's at IntWreckPod. Find us, follow us, tell people about us, and we hope to tune in with y'all next week.
Click the subscribe button on YouTube. Click the subscribe button on YouTube.
10 more, we can just stream straight to YouTube. Extremely helpful.
Yes, and then we may be a little more accessible with that. And we also promise here moving forward, we're going to have some other stuff here where it's going to partake in maybe us watching some racing, streaming some games and stuff like that. So, yeah, this will grow. Please hit that subscribe button. Anyway, we'll catch y'all next week.
See you.